Kids at Ruskin, we do a lot of learning on trauma-informed teaching. Maybe it's sexual abuse, maybe it's living in poverty, maybe it's homelessness, maybe it's drug-addicted parent, crack-born baby, those kind of things. There are about 10 of them. And research has shown if you have 4 of the 10, you're likely not to graduate high school. So that's the cards we're dealt with.
The side of Dayton, it is a very rough area. In a lot of the families, you're trapped. I will help with basic needs, so if a family is maybe struggling with food, I help with clothing. So really anything, I tell our families, just ask, and if I can't make it happen, I'll find somebody that can.
Poverty in and of itself is toxic stress, and toxic stress is trauma on kids. So they've done the research saying it's the same amount of trauma as if you were in a war-torn area. They're in absolutely survival mode at every single moment of every single day.
Teaching them to think that they can, whether they cannot ever get off this Xenia Avenue, is my #1 job.
You can't possibly begin to address any of the academic needs at all if the social emotional needs, the basic needs, are not met. It isn't just like a situational issue with like poverty, it really is a physiological and biological issue. So when you compare the brains between kids that are living in poverty, you see differences that exist within the brain.
We have to rise above that. I talk to them about how we have to learn 5 new words a week, and we have to grow our brains, and we have to be able to do lots and lots of math. And when things are sad, we talk about those things, but when things are hard, we talk about those things, but then we go past that.
What's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you?
That Anthony fell out his shirt eating cupcakes.
Is it good? Is it good snack? I love that. And your favorite thing about the school?
All of it.
All of it?
Kids at Ruskin, we come from multicultural, international environments. We have literally had kids that are in a refugee camp Monday, and we're sitting in our class Wednesday. And so they've come from trauma, Syrian refugee camps, they've come from African refugee camps, they've come on trains through Mexico so that they could come to unite with family members that are here. And there's lots and lots of debate on whether the immigration crisis is right or wrong, but when you see a child that wants to learn to read English more than anything in the world, it does something to you.
First day of summer camp, we had preschoolers lined up along the fence playing, outside, and it was the first day of camp. Everybody was excited, and literally watching them pull a woman on a stretcher out from an overdose. It was just, that summed it up, like the hope, the positive hope, the possibility, and then looking at maybe your future.
Right in front of our school, Xenia Avenue is seen on the news as the largest heroin capital of the world, and we sadly have just lost a parent 2 days ago to the heroin overdose and the heroin crisis.
There's a lot to talk about here.
Yeah, Hallie, that epicenter is Ohio, where officials say that they are on track for 10,000 overdose deaths this year. That is higher than the total for the entire nation.
The people in the neighborhood said, give our kids dreams. They don't have any dreams.
Like the opioid epidemic is that's in the area that has exploded in this area is directly linked to hopelessness. If your grandmother was hopeless, there's no other way to get out. She carried on that hopelessness, and it just became literally the culture of the family of hopelessness. How do you get out of it unless there were intentional activities? Miracle Makers was born out of the idea that the community had no dreams, and they asked, give us some dreams, and that's where Miracle Makers was born out of. We're a very intentional after-school programs. A lot of our kids that are coming into poverty really struggle with executive functioning skills, and executive functioning skills are like really the building blocks for being successful in school. And those things are like the ability to control your emotions. Only interventions that works to improve those skills is something called mindfulness, and we started that about 4 years ago and have seen huge successes in kids being able to control their emotions.
Kids will come back to Ruskin and say they'll want to, meet with teachers or see us and, say this was the safest place, the best time. We had one young man come back and he wanted to talk to one of our teachers, and he said, I just wanted him to know that I'm going in the Marines. And he just wanted to, tell him that he was doing well and that he was the only one that ever got him a Christmas present.
If you've lived in poverty and lived in all this trauma and stress, it'd be hard to figure out what your particular purpose is. So we spend a lot of time with kids talking about you are here for a particular reason, right? There's a purpose to why you are here.
There are lots of stories of kids wanting to come to school, after they've buried their parent, because they want to be here. And because this is their safe place.
What we've done is, like with a community school, is you bring people together with liked experiences. And I think once you get families together and building that idea of like social capital, then I think that helps cures the element of like hopelessness.
I love what I do. And so some days I stand in front of my class and I'm like, I can't believe I get to be this lucky. And I get to do what I love to do. I wouldn't change it for anything.
It's such a privilege to work down here. I can't imagine working anywhere else. I mean, we see a lot of death and a lot of struggle and a lot of just sadness. And they don't have a voice, and that's why we're down here, to be the voice for them.
The one thing you can always guarantee is the changing of human beings, always. If you would really get to know our families and our kids down here, then you see so much possibility, and to break down all of those stereotypes, because our families love their children deeply.
And these kids are the most super fantastic human beings I've ever met, and that we get to do this together is just completely unbelievable. Every morning I say, today's going to be a great day.